Hi guys, I'm Mahadev from Mazan Sulaiman. Now, back in 2018, our lawmakers enacted the Section 17A of the MACC Act 2009. And this new law will come into effect next week on the 1st of June 2020. So I would like to take this opportunity to briefly talk about what is at stake, how it will impact you and your business, and what measures you need to put in place to ensure that you don't get into trouble. Okay, so first of all, what is this new law? In short, Section 17A introduces corporate liability for corruption, meaning that if someone in your company offers or receives a bribe that results in an unfair advantage for your business, then not only is that person subject to criminal action, but also the directors and management of the company are deemed to have committed that same offense. Now, if charged and found guilty of an offense, the penalty is pretty severe. A fine of not less than 10 times the value of the bribe or gratification, or 1 million ringgit, whichever is higher, or imprisonment for not more than 20 years, or both. Okay. Now I'd like to quickly highlight this legal term called strict criminal liability. This basically means that the company will also be held liable whether or not it had actual knowledge of the corruption that actually took place. So how do we protect ourselves as business owners? Well, there are guidelines on adequate procedures which were introduced back in 2018 with an aim to implement anti-corruption policies and procedures for your business. Now, you must remember that the onus is basically on you and your company to prove that you have implemented these adequate procedures to prevent corrupt practices. Okay, so my understanding of these guidelines is that all commercial organizations should basically have a robust anti-corruption compliance program. They should promote a culture of integrity throughout the organization, ensure sufficient communication on anti-corruption policies to all your staff as well as external stakeholders, and have these publicly available and visible, so put it on your websites as well as your communication materials. You should also conduct risk assessments and identify key risk areas and gaps which need to be addressed. You should perform internal audits and reviews by external independent professionals to ensure that all your SOPs are adequate and strictly followed. You should implement due diligence procedures on third parties, for example, like your suppliers or other business associates. And you should also conduct adequate trainings to ensure that everyone is clear on their roles and responsibilities within this particular area. Now, these guidelines are by no means exhaustive, and at the end of the day, the objective is to ensure that the risk of being exposed to criminal liability due to non-compliance is mitigated and minimized, and that you can prove that you have taken the appropriate steps and implemented adequate policies and procedures to deter these corrupt acts within your organization. So guys, I would strongly suggest that you consult with your legal advisors and have a roadmap in place to get the ball rolling and have these procedures in place immediately. Okay, I'm sure all of us are aware how corruption is prevalent within and without our borders. We all complain, but at the end of the day, it takes two hands to clap. So let's together do what we can to eradicate this debilitating disease that has been allowed to carry on for way too long.